John, welcome to Crew Conversations. It's great to have you here with us today. Super excited to get into the subject of networking, which is obviously a big piece of the whole crew community.
Yes, it is.
But we're going to talk about it as far as your perspective on the benefits of networking, both internally and externally. Before we do that, before we dive into that, though, I'd love for everyone that's listening and watching to just get a 30-second, 60-second highlight reel of John Rubinetti and your career path so far, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. So for the last 24 years, I've been in the financial payment space. I've been leading sales and relationship management teams, and I've been in GM roles over the past 24 years. I started my career out at Nabisco. I spent 5 years at Nabisco. I spent 5 years at Ernst & Young. Then moved on to the financial services space. Spent 11 years with American Express on the commercial card side. Then I moved on to the banking side of the business, went to work for Citizens Bank and spent 5 years there on their treasury and payments and commercial card group. And then for the last 8 years, I've been with, I'll call it First Data Fiserv, or some version of that. I was with a joint venture there for the last 8 years on the merchant digital payment side of the business. So I've kind of been on a number of the payable and receivable sides of the business, and it's kind of given me a good perspective on how to solve different issues and problems for customers. So it's been a good run.
Yeah, fantastic. So tell me, John, so is one of these, and I know you probably feel obliged to say the one you're in right now, but is one of these stops along that career path so far one that just really stuck out for you as one that was just really impactful or important? And if so, why?
Yeah. It's clearly American Express. The main reason was I met my mentor, who was Ed Gilligan, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But Ed was one of the most dynamic leaders, people leaders, relationship builder. And he's a guy who I kind of modeled what I did after. As soon as I met him in 2000, like that was it. That was the guy who I wanted to kind of follow in his footsteps, follow in his career path. But that was where I kind of learned about leadership and how to work with people, how to work with different people, but how to be genuine. Like that guy was the most genuine guy anybody's ever met, and everybody will say that about him. But that place was clearly a great career stop for me, and not to mention the network. Right. I mean, the Amex network is one of the biggest networks out there. We talk about it amongst our friends, we'll call them. It's just a great place. You start to see where some of these folks are. They're at JP Morgan, they're at Citibank, they're at MasterCard, they're at Visa, they're all over the place. And so I run across them doing business, and it's been a huge network for me, and one that I'm pretty proud of being a part of that.
Yeah. Likewise, I feel 100% the same way. I call it the Amex fraternity and sorority. It's just it's massive, and it grows every day. And you kind of feel like, I mean, the credentials and the training and the upbringing that you're provided in that brand, it just it does a lot of great things, and it spreads out, and that's awesome to see everybody have a lot of success. And you're right, Ed was a legend.
Yeah.
So what a cool opportunity. I only got to meet him one time. So what a cool opportunity to have been able to be in that position where you were able to really model after somebody that was that good at the role of leadership. Right. So let's talk a little bit here about networking. Would you classify yourself as always being good with networking? Is this something that's kind of in your DNA? Because I'm an introvert. Okay. So for me, this is not networking has not been natural for me. Right. I had to really work at this over the years. What about you?
Yeah. And I get in this conversation with folks a lot, right? Because introverts not comfortable doing this, and I'm an extrovert. Everybody who knows me knows that, right? Like I'm a people person. I've been a people person, so it has been easier for me. It's still work, but it's easier. I'm always talking to people. I'm always genuinely interested in learning from people, right? Like just, where they're from, where they went to school, what their children are, what their spouse or partner is. Like I want to learn that stuff and hear about because I genuinely care. But it's
Yeah.
always fascinating to me. So that's like my mindset going into anything. Like going to a party for me is a highlight, right? Because I'm going in there to learn and talk to people. What's going on? Introverts, they're not, right? And they so when I think about networking, right? For me, that stuff is easy. That doesn't mean I don't prepare. I'm not, thoughtful about it. And that's where I think it doesn't matter whether you're an introvert or extrovert. It's more about the other things that you do to prepare. So, but for me, it's as an extrovert, I love talking to people. And so it makes networking a whole lot easier.
What I love about what you're saying there, though, specifically is just the genuine curiosity that you feel like you sincerely have the excitement to truly learn about people and
Yeah.
interact with them. I think for me, that really hits home as far as what makes somebody an effective networker, right? I mean, to your point, it's about the prioritization. It's about knowing the right places to do it. There's a strategy to networking, but in the end, it's about people, right? And people kind of know when you're genuine about it, I think.
They see
And
right
so if
through it
that
if you're not.
and they see right through it if you're not. And if that comes natural for you, like you said, that's powerful and it's fun, right? Like you said, okay. It's a little bit of work because you got to fit it in, but to your point, you can tell you enjoy it, and that part's contagious. So now, okay, so it's always been natural for you, but is there anything, if you're thinking about the career span so far, that you feel like that you do differently now with networking versus how you may have approached it earlier on?
Yeah, early on, you're selfish. And I say that because when I think back about how I started to do it, it was always about what. And listen, when you're young and you're in your growth of your career and you're looking to kind of, oh, who can I get connected to because that'll help me move up the ladder, if you will, right? It's easy to like kind of let those things guide your interactions.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's no longer about that. And it hasn't been for a while because, I've always kind of felt that, you know, I'll get to where I need to be. I know I will because I know I do the right things and I know I prepare the right way, right? And I work really hard. But it's no longer about, hey, I got to worry about that stuff. So it takes me away from that. Hey, let me ask you the question that I want to ask you. Let me ask you, like, let me get what I need out of this. That's the piece that is very, very different today than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably pretty accurate for a lot of people, right? And
Yeah.
to your point, we're so ambitious and driven and hungry earlier on in the career. And so I think myself included, I would totally categorize, I view that as a mistake that I unintentionally was making in some regards, right? The ambition got in the way of what the true potential of networking can be. And I think then with time, you do feel like that. So it feels like you're in that spot where you're feeling like the benefits of networking is as much about giving as it is about what you get. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I would say in most cases, um, I go into the networking trying to make sure I'm helping somebody.
Yeah.
And hopefully, and it usually works out. Karma really works in interesting ways. But when you do more for others, it comes back tenfold. So,
Yeah.
I think that helps with a mindset too. When you go into a networking session, as I call them, you're not thinking about you, you're thinking about other people, and it kind of changes your approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how do you do this? So you got two versions of networking you got to do all the time, right?
Yeah.
If we're doing it right, you've got the internal networking when you work in a big brand like you often have, and then you got the external networking. So let's hyper focus on what is your approach, right? When you think about the internal networking that is necessary to navigate the big commercial cultures.
Yeah, I think when I think about it, right, first thing is you got to go into it thinking about learning, right? If I think about, who are the key people internally that I need to rely on at some point, whether it's risk, legal, the contract team, whoever it is, operations. I have to identify who the people are, and then I need to go in and learn about what they do and what makes them tick and what frustrations they may have with my organization, right? So first and foremost, I'm learning. I go into it like, let's build a relationship by me learning about you and how I can help you. The second thing is it's how you're going to wind up getting things done quicker, because I'm not an email guy. I'm not going to send emails. That's why I use my network. That's why I build relationships, is because I want to be able to text or call somebody and get stuff done, right, quickly. And so, that's important. And the last thing, it's trust and respect, right? Relationships are all about trust and respect. And so if you go into it learning and thinking about how you can work together and how you can get things done together, you build trust and respect, and it works. So that's the way I think about it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that, once you get into these GM large scope roles, I don't know what you think. I don't know how you do the jobs effectively without being a really good networker, right? Because to your point, you need more and more help beyond your immediate scope of and span of control, right?
Yeah.
You're so dependent upon so many different partners and players.
Yeah, constantly. And when I talk to my team about it, right? We talk about the different layers, because at the end of the day, we're a big organization. We're hierarchical, right? So if you don't have a title, it might be harder. But there's a lot of things I get done just because of a relationship, not because of my title, right? And that's where I think you want to be as a leader, because it doesn't matter what title you have. If you have the right relationships and people trust you and respect you and know that it's not a selfish thing, it's not, John just wants to, get stuff done and step on people, right? Like, that's not what I want to do. I want us to win together. I want to help you. I talked to our legal group the first time I got here years ago, and I sat down and they were like, they had a list of things they wanted to talk about. And I said, first off, I said, tell me how my team can help you do your job. Like, the head of the group looked at me and he says, no one's ever asked me that. And I'm like, well, I don't understand why. Like, like, that's my first question, is tell me how I can help you. Because we could sit here, you could say, you have a problem with this guy and I have a problem with this gal. But at the end of the day, I said, tell me what I can do to help you. Like, is it training? And all of a sudden they sit back in the chair, and now it's a good conversation. And now they know I didn't come in to say, you know what, legal takes too long with shit. We gotta, I gotta tell them how I want shit done. That's not how it works, right?
That's
like,
right.
I want it to be, hey, and so, that's the way I think about it. Like, that's how you build relationships, you build trust. But that comes across that wasn't like my play, like, oh, this is my playbook, like how to. It was genuine. I really meant, I want to know how we work together.
Yeah.
So
it's such great advice. I mean, it's there's jobs and titles, but these are human beings.
That's right.
So at any time, whether it's your spouse or it's a buddy or it's a different partner in your organization, all human beings operate the same way. When you come at them, right, and it's all about business and it's all hard about all the things that aren't right or what have you, you're going to get a wall, versus if you open up and you show that authenticity, that vulnerability, show interest in them. It's just amazing. So that's awesome. I mean, that you've done that. And one thing I picked up on there that I think we should maybe resonate, see what your thoughts are. But I don't know about you, John, but I feel like a lot of leaders coming up in their career underestimate their ability to reach out to more senior leaders and really meet with them. I mean, I remember this is actually how John and I met. It was 2008. I was my first B2B sales job, selling in the great financial crisis. I was so naive though. And John was introduced to me by my boss at the time, and he took the meeting with me, and I reached out to him to take that meeting just so I could get to know somebody else outside of my small little initial orbit there at American Express. And I remember pulling up to your country club that you golfed at, right? And he had the good car and the good suit. And I thought, man, this is this is what, if I keep working, this is what I'm trying to work up towards in a leadership capacity. And so I don't think enough people do enough of that, right? Of like reaching out and upwards. They think that people are too busy, and people are busy. But I think if you're persistent and also patient at the same time and genuine, people will take these meetings and they will share and give back. Like you said, you're in the give back mode, and you
Yeah.
have been for some time. Do you agree?
Well, listen, I totally agree. And I I go back and speak at my college and where I got my master's, and I talk to students, and, I tell them, hey, anybody have any questions? Here's my card, right? If there's 10 people in that group, one person reaches
Yeah.
out, one
Wow.
person. And it's so disappointing because, I remember I went to it was an Amex event with Jack Welch, and man, I got prepared. I knew what I wanted to talk to Jack about, what I wanted to ask Jack about. And everybody dispersed, and I was like, am I going to be the only person to go up to him? Like, what's, but that was it. I went up to him and I wanted to ask him a question about, my question was about, losing a top performer, and how to do it. And Jack's advice was, you fill that job immediately. You don't let your organization know that somebody was more important than enough. It was great advice. But I went up to him and asked him, and I was like, more people need to do that. And I did that in my career at Amex. I walked the floors and I introduced myself to people, told them what I did. I introduced myself to learn about what they did, whether they were the head of marketing or whether they had a product. I just went, hey, maybe I could tell you a little bit about the field, but I'd really like to know more about what you do. And that kind of reaching out, reaching up, people don't do enough of it. And I offer it all the time. And I say, give me a call if you need something. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay, you might be scared because I have a title, and you're one of the lower people in the organization level wise. It's like, listen, I view this all the time. I was at a meeting last night with our board. Like, they put their pants on the same way I do.
Right.
That stuff I don't get enamored by, because they're people. I want to learn about them, right?
Yeah.
More people need to think that way, because a lot of people are like me. They want to help people. They want, want to, develop those future leaders, right? So I'm looking for someone to do it. And trust me, I'll make the time. If somebody from my university, from the soccer team I played on, from the company I worked at, they want to reach out to me, they'll get time. I mean, it's hard to fit it in, but they'll get time because they took the time to reach out to me. And I think if they did that, most people will reciprocate and give you the time. Now, you got to be thoughtful about what you're doing and what you're asking for and how you go in and how you prepare. But that reach out is the first step. And then not a lot of people do it.
Yeah. Everyone's getting coffee and cookies, and no one's going up to meet Jack.
That's right.
I can't believe that.
Okay,
he's right there.
This is it. Like, this is the flesh.
Yeah. Yeah. What a powerful example of, we got to take advantage of it when it's there. So do you have a power story that comes to mind when it comes to, so networking's clearly been successful for you. It's been evidently impactful, but is there one thing in particular, like a cool one or just one that you're just very grateful for, that really sticks out, that networking really paid off in some way?
Yeah. Maybe you'll be surprised at it or not, right? But it's a story that has nothing to do with me, or didn't benefit me.
Okay.
It was a guy I worked with for a number of years. Decided to launch a fintech company, right? Developed a solution, launch a fintech company. And so I reached out to him just to say, hey, congratulations. Can we just grab 15 minutes? Love to just hear about it. And so he's like, absolutely. So we set up a call. We're talking. I say, tell me about what you're doing. He tells me about it. He starts telling me how he's selling his product, and he starts naming banks and things like that. And I'm like, all I'm thinking about is, hey, there's like I can introduce you to this person. I can introduce you to this person. Did you know that this person's at Visa? This person's at, and they were like, and he was like, this is awesome. Like he's writing all this stuff down. And I'm like, listen, reach out to this person, use my name. You know, all I cared about was helping him be successful. Like I was getting nothing out of it. I didn't want anything out of it, right? But I wanted to genuinely help him, because when he started rattling that stuff off, all that went off in my mind are, hey, I know somebody there. I can like, and so you know, his business is thriving now. He signed up a whole bunch of banks. And whether or not I helped with any of them, maybe nothing helped. Maybe I just helped with his attitude, right, and confidence about he was going at it the right way.
Yeah.
And if that was it, then it was a great conversation too. But you know, that to me is what networking is about. Like, you know, I genuinely want him to be successful.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's a really good story. And there's others where people just reaching out, asking for, you know, just career advice, right? You know, people looking, you know, you know, there's a lot of layoffs right now. People reaching out, hey, I got laid off. And I just, hey, do you know this person? To just connect their network. Give this person a call. Oh, you need, you know, use my name. Those little things, like I said earlier, it comes back tenfold. And I'm not looking for anything back from anybody, but I think that's just a way to think about it. And
that's right.
You know, I've helped a few people get jobs that, you know, wouldn't have found them if they didn't have a conversation. And those are the things I'm most proud of. I've gotten to where I am. My last 5 jobs have all been through a network. Like somebody's called me. So, like I said, I don't worry about me. Like I don't think about it that way.
I hear that over and over again. That's my personal experience as well. I mean, you know, it is truly all about who you know. I mean, do you have to be talented? Do you have to put in the work? Absolutely. But especially once you start getting to those more senior level jobs, it is 100% beneficial and an opportunity cost if you don't, to not really make sure you've got the relationships. You know, it ain't about the search firms often and the tightening up your resume. And, you know, I mean, I know it's all about building our personal brand and everything on LinkedIn, but let's be honest, the big jobs, often the big opportunities, the big doors that open, it's normally because you know someone, or there's 1 degree of separation from somebody that knew you, right? That gets you in there. Those are such powerful examples. And, you know, we've already kind of hit on this, but the opportunity cost that you think is there, I mean, that's kind of what we're going towards here, but anything that we haven't said there as far as not prioritizing this, because I think the main thing I just picked up on from your advice there, John, is that it's a long game, right? Networking's a long game.
Yep.
And it's about karma. It's not about near-term expectations coming back, but that down the road, I may be that person, right? No matter how talented I am, I may be in a transition because my industry or my company gets massively disrupted. Or I may be the guy that decided all of a sudden I've got a brand new business idea. In fact, I am that guy right now, right? And you cannot do it alone. And so, you know, the opportunity cost here that people have of not prioritizing it because you're so busy in your day to day. You know, how do you balance that? Because we talked about internal networking. So how do you make sure between your day job, home life, as you know, you're a proud father, et cetera, and then the external piece, how do you make sure you keep it a priority so that when you need it, it's there?
Yeah. You know, and, you know, when you talk to people about networking, you say, what do you do for networking? Right. Everybody, you see the eye roll and you're like, oh, I need to do that more. Right. I need to. Because listen, it's not easy. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell anybody that. Like what I do on a weekly basis is just I prioritize it. I plan it every week. It's a part of my leadership style and approach, right? So I do it because I also want to make sure that people see what I do and how I do it. But you know, I would love to kind of put a dollar amount on the opportunity cost. Like, I don't know if you could, right? But I think from a knowledge perspective, you're missing out. You're missing out from learning different experiences, different diversity of thought, right? Different, you know, experiences, right? you're missing it out from a strategic. If you're a strategic leader and you're thinking about how to be strategic and you don't have a network or haven't talked to people and don't ask other people their opinion about hiring today, you know, downsizing, cost eliminate, like how are you like if you don't have a different strategic view on that,
Yeah.
you know, you just draw from your own experiences, which you hope are, you know, good, but the reality is you'd like to hear some others. So strategically, you know, that you miss out there. And then results wise, I think I drive results and I've driven results in my career because of how I go about utilizing my network, utilizing the relationships I build internally and externally.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
that's it. But balance, you know, it's hard to say there's a balance. The only thing I could say is it's discipline, right? That you
Yeah.
block out time on a Monday to say, who are the people I need to identify this week? Who do I need to reach out to? Who, you know, scan LinkedIn? Who are the people I should just reach out to, check in, say hi? You know,
Yep.
not the people that send me a request to connect and then 30 seconds later are sending me a product that they want to like that's not networking.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
trying to be opportunistic and maybe to catch me on a day where I actually need something, which is very rare, right? Because I'd like to be more thoughtful about it. But that's not networking to me.
Yeah.
Networking is, hey, reaching out. You're someone I'd like to connect with. If you need something from me, give me a call. Just
Yeah.
leave it at that. You might see a post later on. You might, and then you could reach out and say, hey, you know what? That's great. And just that kind of interaction. But
Yeah.
nowadays it's this instant gratification. So everybody's like, okay, let me ask what I need and for me. And I'm like, that's my point about the selfish piece of it. Not a big
Yeah.
fan of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And to
but
your
it's
point,
work.
it's
It is hard work. And you know, to your point earlier, yes, it's important who you know, but if you don't do these things right and
yeah.
put the effort in and put the sweat in, and you know, but the discipline and planning is how you get there.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. To your point, it's not just who you know, and it's also how well have you gotten to know them, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you can know a lot of people, not a lot of people can know of you, but it's only the people that we really know each other well or decent amount that you're going to get that extra, right? That extra effort from. And yeah, to your point, how do you put a dollar cost on that? You mentioned things. I mean, if you think about hiring and right and navigating client situations and recession, here we are facing another recession. I don't know if there's any other way to be more recession proof yourself or your career than to invest into your networking.
yeah,
Of course, you have to have done it ahead of time because you can't do it when crap is hitting the fan. It's
right.
too late then, right? Then everyone's trying to network. So that's the lesson there, is hopefully not too late. If you're not doing it right now, I feel like, boy, you should really think about it, because when times are hard is when you really want to make sure it's there, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And you know, when I think about like how I do my job, right? So I lead a pretty big organization across the U.S. and you know I have 75 bank partners that I work with. Um, I could do that job by probably traveling maybe once a month. I could probably do the job and be pretty successful, right? But
Yeah.
I travel every week, 2 to 3 days a week, because getting out in front, building relationships, building networks, being in front of my partners, being in front of my people, that's the way to build a network and build trust and right and lead by example. But that's effort.
Yeah.
So could I do my job a little easier? Yeah, you know, but that's not how I do it. But you put that work in for a reason.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
that's the payoff will come. I think it has come, right? I feel really good about how I've done my career wise, but it's because I'm willing to put in the effort. And when you think about networking, that's what it is. It's effort.
Yeah. It is. It's
So,
effort. It is. Uh, and I want to ask you a little bit about a leadership legacy that you hope to be leaving behind. And I feel like you've already given us a little bit of what your state of mind is around that from some of the earlier questions. But when you think about what you hope people, you have a lot of great things you said about Ed Gilligan. I mean, he's got an amazing leadership legacy, right?
yep.
Uh, what do you hope people will think about, when they think about you and they talk about you and your legacy? What are you most hopeful about?
You know, first thing, whenever I talk about leaders and leaders that I'm impressed with, is action-oriented leaders, right? People who lead by example, right? That's what I want people to walk away and say, that's what he did. Like, he led by example. He was action-oriented. He wasn't an armchair kind of guy. He was out there in it, leading by example. Second, being a connector. Like, I want people to know that, like, I was the best connector of an enabler of getting things done for them, because as I said earlier, I don't do it. It's not for me. Like, I do it to help my team. Like, if I build a relationship with a bank partner, it's because my team's going to benefit from it. Right. Like, and so hopefully they view me as that. And then, being a coach and an advisor, being the best coach and advisor that they ever worked for. Like, those are the three. That's when I think of Ed, those are the three things. And those are the things that I have tried to emulate. And I think about when I move on and don't do this anymore. That's what I want people to say.
Yeah. John, those are awesome, I think, ambitions that I'm pretty sure you're going to be talked about in those realms. So I think you should feel good about it. And it just reminds me that I think most of us, what you're putting down there too, when we think about our favorite pit stop in a career, the favorite marker that we passed by, most often the answer that people give you is one that's tied to a leadership relationship that they had. And we can never forget that. That is the kind of impact. We're in a grind day to day, and it can feel like just the days are rolling by and the years are rolling by. But when you have that impact on another human being, it's something that they are often, when they're in a position like you're at later on in life and being asked about most important moments of life or career, it's because of often a leadership relationship more than anything else, more than the company, more than the job.
Yeah.
It's that. And so it's a really powerful privilege and responsibility that we get to take when we go into leadership.
Yeah.
So on that note, so obviously we've now launched this whole component of Crew. Crew is designed to cultivate and foster everything we've been talking about here so far.
Yeah.
Make it a little bit easier for those of us that aren't as extroverted as John Rubinetti, right? Like me, I'm an extrovert when I kind of need to be and feel good about it. But whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you're in the busiest job of your life right now, or you're in a transition, bridging that gap, right? Making it easier to do that and really making it also more fun, if I'm being honest, right? Keep bringing the fun back to that, because as you mentioned, we're all going everywhere now, right? People aren't staying in their companies for quite as long, at least for now. It may change again, but 20, 30-year careers in one place, it's not quite so common.
No.
So the network piece, I feel like, is more important than ever. But just talk to us about why because you were one of our first. So I personally, as you know, and we as a group are super thankful for you jumping into a network when there was no network.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest, leap of faith and leadership, early adopter kind of mentality you can have. Why? Why do you kind of believe in what we're trying to do here?
Yeah. Well, if I were to give anybody advice on networking, right, it would be genuine, be intentional, and be selfless, right? Those are the three things to think about for networking. And when you and I talked about, and your dad talked about Crew, right? It was enabling all three of those things, right? Being genuine with my peers, right? Everybody knows it's hard to pick up the phone, call one of the folks that are on the leadership team with me, a peer of mine, and tell him that I'm struggling with something, right? Like, or her, right? I can't do that. Or, you'd like to get to that point with some, and there are some, but the reality is you can't have that. And so being genuine to get feedback is what I love about what Crew offers, right? Having these, this better access, because even getting one of my peers to text me back or find time to call, like, you can't.
It's hard.
Right. So I'm in a group text now, and or I'm in a database where or in the app, and we can say, hey, I got this, and people can send up an article or something like that. If you need a little motivation, like little things like that, is what makes this so appealing. You have more genuine conversations. You could be much more intentional about the conversations and what you're looking for, and being honest and open about it. And then the selfless piece of wanting to help other folks, and be a connector for other people. And when you're out there and you have a group like this, though, there are more things. I use the example. I was talking to one of our other members, and I was talking about an opportunity that came my way that I passed on, and then he was saying, hey, there was an opportunity, you know what, you probably would have been a good fit for that, right? And I wasn't looking, it didn't matter. But the point was, if we were in an environment like Crew offers, that would have been fantastic to know that. Whether I would, whether it would have worked out, it doesn't matter. But the point is, there are things that happen with all of us. I get calls from recruiters, or someone looking for something, and it's nice to have a community that are trying to do the right things. And it's not about job searching. It's really about just the networking, the learning, that, be curious. When I say I'm curious about people, like, this is the chance to learn from other leaders. So that's what I think, and was so excited about Crew, is because it kind of brought all of that into one place. And it honestly, it's now given me a platform to do more and show more and give more. So that's what I'm excited about.
Love it. It gives me chills, man, to hear you kind of talk about your reasons why. And it's so aligned with a lot of the core ethos that we're trying to deliver on for us. This is a place we wanted to be a part of too. And to just cultivate that, what I picked up from you in that description there is the unfiltered external perspectives and unconditional support. Right. One of our other members used that term, the unconditional support chain. And I know we have it. To your point, we do find these relationships at some points in our careers and inside our companies. I don't want to say we don't have it there, but to unleash it, right? To prioritize it, to make it easier to get all that unconditional support and unfiltered external perspectives. That's what this can be. It's all about the people, though, like you said, right? It's all about the folks like you. So, John, this has been awesome for me. I felt like I knew you pretty well coming into this, but this is why these conversations are so good, because it, again, we're all busy, and it forces us to sit down, dig in, learn more about another successful leader, an awesome human being. And so I just want to thank you for carving out the time. I know how busy you are, and I think that everyone's going to really enjoy this Crew conversation. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Adam. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
All right. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Crew Conversations. These conversations are for leaders, between leaders, and by leaders to inspire you to grow into the type of leader you want to become.